Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom.
I am Officer Jeff.
Deacon Anon.
All right, and been burning the midnight oil with this lesson right here. Literally, I had to work last night, but literally I was working on this all night long up until the praise and worship. So forgive me, I really don't even have a title for this particular lesson just yet, okay? Because as I was putting this together, it became such a broad topic. You know, it was, can y'all hear me? Yeah. All right. It became such a broad topic of discussion for me that, I mean, it just several avenues of this particular thing just opened up. So for the past few weeks, right, and we're about to get started. For the past few weeks, we've been learning different aspects of the importance of being a nation, correct? Okay, we did the lesson, Are You an Israelite? Deacon Jermaine did A Royal Nation. Last week, Deacon Aaron did A Nation in Need of Salvation, right? So I wanted to keep the theme going because we are quickly approaching the times that we are to be that nation again, okay? Us waking up, that's only part of it. Us understanding that we're Israel is only part of it. But the question is, what does that really mean? Okay? So we're quickly approaching those times that we need to start thinking about that and bringing that to the forefront of our mind. Again, in the same similitude of when our ancestors left Egypt. Y'all follow me? Okay. So when it comes to our nationalism, I'm seeing that, like I said before, it's such a broad topic of discussion that I began to get distracted with, some of our historical events, some of the things that we've been to, so as I was putting this together, the title of this lesson actually changed like maybe 3 or 4 times to the point to where I just said, maybe the Spirit will reveal it to me as this thing goes on. So just bear with me, okay? But it's still dealing around nationalism. The nation of Israel, who we are according to the scripture, okay? Our history, as you all well know, is rich, it's vast, it's also complex. Y'all got me? All right. We've experienced moments of greatness and moments of shame, right? We've conquered in battle and have been conquered, okay? We've ruled the earth, and now we're in bondage again. Okay, being America, the land of Babylon, being the state of another form of our captivity. Y'all feel me? All right. So, but throughout all of those complexities, one thing remained to be the constant variable. Let's go to Malachi chapter 3, verse 6 and 7. Out of all those up and down moments, those moments of greatness, those moments of glory, those moments of shame, misfortune, bondage, captivity, one thing has been the constant variable. So let's go to Malachi chapter 3, verse 6 and 7.
All right, let's get a con when we're there. All right, give it one more second. All right, Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. Even from the days of your fathers ye are not gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Read verse 7 again, I'm sorry. Even from the days of your fathers, ye are not gone away from mine ordinances.
You're gone. Gone away.
Oh, gone away.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
Gone away from mine ordinances, and have not kept them. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith the Lord of hosts. But ye said, wherein shall we return?
So that constant variable, that thing that remained reliable, was the Most High. He didn't change. So the sons of Jacob would not be consumed. Now, thinking about that for a second, right? If he had changed, that would have allowed, if he had changed this promise, if he had said, you know what, I'm tired of dealing with the children of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, I'm going to find me another nation. Well, where would that have left us? You understand? So he remained consistent, even though, read verse 7 one more time up.
Verse 7, even from the days of your fathers. Ye are gone away from mine ordinances.
See, we left him. He stayed the same. So by that happening, we were not consumed. We're here today to wake up. And not only just for our sakes that's in here, but we just saw the kids. That's very important. And I said this a couple of weeks ago, was that this is the first time in my life where I'm actually seeing righteous works. You know, I've been in and out of church, you know, back when I was younger and all that stuff, but nothing to this effect, you know, to where it actually means something, to where it actually links to who we are, according to the scriptures. Knowing that the people that's in this book are real and we are the bloodline descendants of them. Y'all follow me? So that's key right there. Okay? The Most High has not changed, therefore we haven't been consumed. In other words, the promise that he made to Abraham is what? Still in effect. Right? And last week's lesson, Deacon Mashah made the statement that it's just a random statement that he made, but it stood out to me. He made the statement that it's time for us to grow up. Okay? What I got out of that was that it's time for us to accept and grow into the fullness of who and what the Most High has called us to be. Y'all follow me? Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 7, verses 1 through 11.
All right. Gone with it. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy power shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hast cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Pezerites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. And when the Lord thy power shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter shall not give her son, nor his daughter shall not take unto thy son.
See, real quick on that, and this just came to me, because again, we're still talking about nationalism, right? And one of the things that they teach us here in America is that, okay, it's almost frowned upon, you know, when you're promoting your nationality, your ethnic origin, you know, and we really need to embrace that. See, when you look at verse 3,
Mm-hmm.
by us doing that, it really ensured that our bloodline of who we are remain intact. Okay, our history remain intact. When the thing is, when you marry into other nations, it's not, and I'm not trying to insult anyone out there, but when you marry into other nations, you spend a lot of your time trying to focus on the inclusiveness, as opposed to, well, I came from this and this is what I need to do. You know, it's like mixing oil and water. You know, it can get to that point.
Mm-hmm.
So in order for us to remain intact, read verse 3 again.
Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
Verse 4.
For they will turn away thy son from following me.
It happens every time. Okay? It happens every time. You start to look at the things that were once important to you in your childhood as not being important anymore. You know? All for the sake of inclusiveness. You follow me? All right, let's go.
Look at Solomon. What happened to him?
Exactly.
All those other nations, right? He married and took them in. But even though he was the head and he had much wisdom and knowledge and understanding to where he should have had the foresight to see it clearly what could have happened, he still fell succumb to the other nations, to his wife. And at that time, they was headstrong with the whole understanding of like, I'm the man of the household. Not only that, he was the king of Israel.
Right.
Okay, that's nothing small to play with.
Right.
And those other nations of women, they came in and he married them and took them on and eventually fell away. And that was the big split with Judah and Israel, with the kingdom, right?
Right.
So, but yeah, man, Yeah.
Keep
It's no
going.
good. It's no good.
Keep
yeah,
going.
4?
No, 5.
All right. Verse 5. But thus shall ye deal with them. Ye shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy power.
And we know that holy means what? There you go. Okay.
Middle of verse 6. The Lord thy power hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself, above all people that are upon the face of the earth. The Lord did not set his love upon you, nor choose you, because you were more in number than any people. For ye were the fewest of all people. But because the Lord loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, have the Lord brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that the Lord thy power, he is God, the faithful power, which keepeth covenant and mercy with them that love him and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repayeth them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hateth him. He will repay him to his face. Thou shalt therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command thee this day to do them.
So let's summarize that with 1 Peter chapter 2, 9 and 10.
You know what's funny? I was thinking about Israel as a people. And you know, when you're in the hood, or even people that get out of the hood, and they grow up and they become grown, and they have this polished appearance to them, but they, somebody piss them off and they get snapped back into the hood. I bet you ain't gonna say it to my face. The Most High, he deal with you what?
Face to face.
We are made in his image and in his likeness, right? Say it to my face. That's all I kept hearing.
Come here.
Right. I bet you won't. Yeah, all right. Anyway.
Come, we know that 1 Peter chapter 2, 9 and 10.
All right, 1 Peter chapter 2, 9 and 10. But ye are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, and holy nation, a peculiar people, that ye should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, which in time past were not a people, but we are now, Salakia, but are now the people of the Most High, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy.
Come. So, one word can summarize those scriptures, and this is what I came up with, and this is what I'm not going to say wrestling with or anything like that, but I mean, just looking at that, nationality, nationalism. One word came to mind when, after I read those verses, and that was unplug. Okay? If we are to be a holy people that the Most High chose to be unto himself, then we can't use westernized ideals and philosophies or American customs and traditions to do it. Okay? Y'all feel me? So, if we are to be that holy nation, then the laws that govern us must be what? Holy. Okay? So we must unplug and reprogram. All right? So let's look at Matthew chapter 22, verses 34 through 40.
While we turn to that, check this out, Chicago. I was talking to this brother the other day, and I can clearly see he was like, of some nationality. I couldn't put my finger on it, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, yo, what are you, man? What's your nationality? He said American. I hit him with, I was trying not to laugh, like, nah, seriously, man, what's your father? What's your mother? Right. He's like, American. I said, nah, seriously, come on, man, stop. What's your grandfather? What's your grand? And then he was like, oh, Filipino, so on and so forth. But like, people are so brainwashed into thinking that this bastard country is a nation. I was talking to a pastor just the other day. Dude I just ran into at work, right? Turned out he was a 33rd degree Master Mason. Of the Scottish Rite. Not the Prince Hall Masons. Not the black Masons. I'm talking about the real joints, right? Show him all these pictures with famous people, shaking hands, blah, blah, blah. Man, we got to talking. And I brought out some key stuff, and he was like, man, brother, where you learn all this from? I said, reading the Bible. Church. He ain't like that. He was like, nah, you've been learning. I'm like, it's scriptures. I said, you should come on out and hang out with my brothers, and you'll really, you think I'm bringing something? Nah, my brothers will really give you something. You understand?
See, and that's what this westernized culture would do, because your status has become who you are. You know, your social status, where you are in society, how the neighborhood sees you, you know. And, you know, on the surface area, it looks like, okay, a pastor of a church, whether it be great or small, looks like a decent thing to be, right? However, when you really get into these scriptures and filter everything through it, like we said a couple of weeks ago, it's like, okay, you're a Scottish Rite Mason, strike one. You're a pastor, strike two. Okay, so it's like, where are you really according to the scriptures? You know, so you got to look at, you know, as I said, when I read the chapter, those verses in Deuteronomy and 1 Peter, the word that came to me was unplug. Unplug. Now, keep in mind, we know, like the sister brought out earlier today, there are some family members who are indoctrinated by American culture and society, right? But we also got some people that may be in the truth, you know, as we call the truth, that's still plugged in. And we really need to look at that, because what's coming up, you know, as times get worse, progressively worse, as society moves on, as it was prophesied, we're going to be making a move sometime soon, you know. We might want to think about that. So what's going to sustain us? What's going to govern us? Y'all feel me? Mm-hmm. So let's hit Matthew chapter 22.
All right,
34 through 40.
Verse 34. But when the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence, speaking of Christ, they were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him, and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And this is in Matthew. I think it's in Luke when they go through the same parable. He went through the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one. And then continued into verse 37, which is, Yeshua said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. While the Pharisees...
That's it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, what you got?
No, I was reading. 40.
Hang on the laws.
All the prophets. Okay. That's it.
All right, my bad, y'all. But anyway, so love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind. All right? Deuteronomy 6:5, right? Okay. And love thy neighbor as thyself. Leviticus 19:18, right? So when you break down what Christ said, it encompasses what? The whole 10. The whole 10 commandments. The first 5, loving the Most High. The second 5, how to love your neighbor. Okay? So, went to an article, online article. It's called Town Hall from townhall.com, townhallnews, I think, .org or .com. That was published on June 6, 2015. You got that?
All right. It says, there are at least 5,000 federal criminal laws with 10,000 to 300,000 regulations that can be enforced criminally. In fact...
In America. Okay, keep going.
In fact, our entire criminal code has become a leviathan unto itself, right? In 2003, there were only 4,000 offenses that carried criminal penalties. But by 2013, that number had grown by 21% to 4,850. The code has become so big that the Congressional Research Service and the American Bar Association simply do not have enough staff to adequately categorize every law we have in the books.
Okay. Think about it. There are at least 5,000 federal criminal laws with 10 to 300,000 regulations in America. The Most High only gave us 10 commandments. Okay? That could be summarized in 2 commandments. Okay? Now I'm sure that we all know that we face a more harsh penalty for violating the laws of the land. All right? Why? I'm sure we also know why, but I put it in the lesson, so let's read it. Let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and 21. We face that harsher penalty, and we work so hard, to try to follow the laws of the land because, the police is, man, they hard on us. IRS is hard on us, so we got to make sure that we walk that extra fine line in adhering or try to adhere to the laws of this land. You follow me? Because ain't nobody really trying to go to jail, Ain't nobody got money for a ticket. Not these days. I'm broke, Or, everywhere you look, it's a new regulation. It's a new law somewhere, somehow, all right? It's just, in every year, though, every month, around election time, they come up with more. To the point to where we just read that the American Bar Association simply do not have enough staff to adequately categorize every law that we have on the books. They're lawyers. They don't have enough lawyers to regulate the law. So let's go to Deuteronomy 32 and 20.
That's bad. That's bad. I got a quick question, too, while we turn to that. How many laws of the Bible are there? Outside of commandments. The laws came from the commandments. How many laws are there?
6.
Come on, talk to me. Talk to me. Somebody talk to me. Holla if you hear me. Who came from Christianity? Typical, Christian churches, okay? And what do they tell us in there?
Laws.
Let me get, not just about the law, but the law, period. Just like how many laws it is, stuff like that. No, outside of the 10. No, I'm just saying. It's a lot, right?
613.
Yeah, right. They say it's quite a few. It's hundreds. Did you know there's about only 200 to 300 laws in the Bible? That's it. It's not as many as people think. Because when we talk with most people that, come from Christianity like we did, I always be like, oh, it's so many laws in the Bible. Those are Jewish laws, not laws of the script. Those are Kabbalah laws of Talmuds, not laws of the Torah, not laws of the scripture. They'll have laws for washing your pots and your spoons, laws on the right way to do this and do that. That's not no law of the Most High. I ain't worried about that, right? Because they were so focused on dealing with the temple and the tabernacle and, you got to do it like this. And if you don't do it like that, dealing with the laws of the sacrifice, blah, 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 right? That's what they focused on, right? But yeah, since you were talking about laws, so go ahead, bro.
Yeah, yes. We know that the laws are, you could break the laws down into categories. You got the moral laws, you got the sacrificial laws, you got the civil laws, and you got the ceremonial laws.
It ain't that many.
So once you break that down, you're right. It's not really that many.
But look at it in contrast. There's more laws in America, a whole lot more than there are in the Bible.
Right.
It's under 1,000. the Babylonian laws are thousands.
Right.
Right?
So
anyway,
let's hit Deuteronomy 32 and 21.
Verse 21. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God.
Remember, real quick, remember the point that was being made, we face a harsher penalty by us being who we are, the so-called African American, the so-called Latino American, the so-called Native American. We face a harsher penalty for violating the laws that are in America, right? And the question was, do we really understand why? So Deuteronomy 32 and 21.
Once again, they have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation.
Okay, with a foolish nation, and in the foolish nation, you got foolish laws. Understand? Okay, so I think it's pretty obvious that the Most High means exactly what he said. Okay, because here we are, like I said before, we're in bondage again. Okay, and the nation of fools being provoked to anger because of their foolish rules. You follow me? So let us take a moment to re-examine Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, and Leviticus chapter 18, verse 19. All right? No other nation was given this mandate. Every single law and every single commandment hangs on those two verses. Okay? Everything hangs, the laws that we just talked about, the commandments hang on those two, those laws hang on those, Salakia, on those two commandments. The laws hang on them, the prophecies hang on them, everything hangs on that, on those two. You follow me? So, what I did, again, like I said, I was working on this pretty much all night. What I did, using the Hebrew Strongs, I defined every key word to amplify the understanding of what's being said in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and 5, just to give it a broader view, okay? So, read that right there.
Right, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5. And thou shalt love the Lord. Oh, yeah. Thou shalt love the Lord thy power with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might.
Okay. So, with that being said, key words, love, heart, soul, and might, right? And understanding, and you can look this up in the Strongs for yourself. It's a rather lengthy definition, so I'm just going to summarize it because of time's sake. We should have an affectionate friendship that's concretely manifested through our actions of obedience towards a higher, which is our power. We are to love him from deep within our innermost being and with all our strength that we possess. That's an expanded or amplified view of Deuteronomy 6 and 5. Okay? Let me get that again. We should have an affectionate friendship that is concretely manifested through our actions of obedience towards a higher, which is our power. We are to love him from deep within our innermost being with all of our strength that we possess. Everything that we have in us needs to go towards loving the Father. We need to love the Father more so than we love anything else. You understand? Keeping his commandments comes above anything else. Because it's through him and it's through his commandments that everything is made clear. We're living proof of that. We didn't have any type of understanding of how the world operates as we know it until we got into what? The word, the scriptures. Understanding that. Y'all follow me? Okay, so I did the same thing with Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Go ahead.
Which says, verse 18, thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. Okay,
so again, key words that I pulled out of that was, one second. It's a lot. I'm just going to read it. Do not take revenge, execute punishment, carry the burden of persecution, give birth to or be the father of cherished animosity towards the children and the offspring of the children of other nations. We are obligated to show compassion, mercy, and pity towards our friends, opponents, and neighbors in the same fashion that you show yourself. Ahaya is our power. Y'all follow me? Again, that's a more expounded view on what we just read in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18. Did I say that right? Mm-hmm. 18, 19. Okay? 2 commandments summarize, as we said before, 2 commandments summarize the 10 commandments, which we didn't follow. Okay? Laws were written to guide us back to the 10 commandments, which can be summarized back to 2 commandments. We didn't follow those either. Okay? What happened? Well, we stopped loving the Most High, and we stopped loving our neighbors the way that we love ourselves. Okay? When looking at the 10 commandments, you should be able to see that the first 5, as I said before, the first 5 are the instructions on how to love the Most High, right? So, with that being said, let's take a look at the ramifications or consequences of not loving the Most High, okay? Let's see what happened because we decided not to do that, because we decided not to follow, as a nation, the first 5 commandments, okay? There are many examples of what happened, but I'm just going to focus on one. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36, 16 through 22. Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 16 through 22. What takes place when we didn't adhere to the first great commandment of loving the Lord with all thy heart, soul, might, and strength? Okay? With all our heart. What took place? What happened? What was the consequences of that? Okay? Because obviously we didn't follow that. Y'all follow me so far? Because here we are in the land of our captivity. Right? Okay, so let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36, 16 through 22.
Let's get a calm when we're there.
Looking at one example for right now.
All right, Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 16. Moreover, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for their idols wherewith they had polluted it. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries. According to their way and according to their doings, I judged them.
Okay, see that? Keep going.
Verse 20. And when they entered unto the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name.
What did we do?
Profaned my holy name.
Keep going.
When they said to them, These are the people of the Lord, and are gone forth out of his land. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. Therefore I say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord power, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which I have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went.
Which ye have profaned among the heathen. So the Most High was pretty much trying. He didn't do it necessarily for our sakes. We were his people, or we are his people. But we're going in there with a whole bunch of nonsense saying this, doing a whole bunch of crazy things in the name of the Most High. That's attached to his name. Our behavior was attached to his name. So what we just read in verse 22, therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith the Lord thy power, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name's sake. You're not going to associate him with our foolishness. Okay? So, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. So let's summarize that in Romans chapter 2, verse 24. Can y'all hear me? All right.
All right, I'm going to read this one. It's just one verse. Romans chapter 2, verse 24. For the name of the Most High is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written.
Okay. Y'all see that so far? This is what happens when you don't love the Most High with all your soul, your might, your heart, your strength. Okay? Let's look at what comes out of that. Let's go to another article. I got it off of eaec.org. It's titled "The Cult of the Roman Catholicism." Okay? You got it?
Yes, sir. All right, it says, the Roman Catholic Church, headquartered in Rome, Italy, has its own powerful city-state, the Vatican. The Roman Catholic Church unofficially came into being in 312 AD, at the time of the so-called miraculous conversion to Christianity of the Roman Emperor Constantine. But he still worshipped the sun god.
Okay, so he's off already. Follow me? Keep going.
Although Christianity was not made the official religion of the Roman Empire until the edicts of Theodosius the first in the year 380 and 381 AD, Constantine, from 312 AD until his death in 337, was engaged in the process of simultaneously building pagan temples and Christian churches, and was slowly turning over the reins of his pagan priesthood to the Bishop of Rome. However, The family of Constantine did not give up the last vestige of his priesthood until after the disintegration of the Roman Empire, that being the title the emperors bore as heads of pagan priesthood, Pontifex Maximus, a title which the popes would inherit. The popes also inherited Constantine's titles as the self-appointed civil head of the church, Summus Pontifex, Vicar of Christ and Bishop of Bishops.
Who did the Most High give his laws, statutes, and commandments to? And anybody else? So how did, well, the children of Israel, okay? How does the Roman Catholic Church gain authority over our doctrine? Okay? Now, we look and we frown upon what they're doing, right? I mean, it's in the news right now, just in Pennsylvania. 1,000 people, young kids, boys and girls, were molested by priests. That's just in Pennsylvania. And that's just what came out.
That ain't even at the head of their whole situation.
No.
Right.
So Catholicism is the largest, quote unquote, Christian denomination in the planet. It is customary that the Romans participated in acts of child molestation and sodomy. You understand? This is what they do. It's no coincidence why, I mean, if it was an isolated occurrence, okay, you may or you may not hear about it, but it goes on continuously. This is what they do. But they're doing it in the name of the Most High.
Bring it out.
This is what happens when we had a law, a commandment, and chose to be like the other nations. These are the ramifications of not loving the Most High with all of our soul, with all of our strength, and with all of our might. Technically, we're supposed to die for this thing. We need to defend this thing to the death if it comes to it. These are our commandments, right?
God.
And when we give it over to the other nations, this is the outcome. Now you got millions upon millions of people don't want to have Jew and Gentile, don't want to have anything to do with what the Bible says because they view what the Catholic Church is doing as being, well, if this is your God, then I don't want any part of it.
God.
This is what happens when we don't love the Most High. You follow me? Now, the Roman Catholic Church is the parent church of all Christian denominations. Okay? And you should know them by their fruits. Sunday worship, Catholic. Christmas, Catholic. Easter, Catholic. Holding Mary up in high positions, Catholic. Babylonian, pagan, evil, wicked. This is what happens when we what? Don't pay attention to the first 5 commandments. You follow me? So, this is what I was trying to deal with, trying to find the right avenue to bring this out because it's so broad. You know, if talking about nationalism again, we need to be known by our laws, our commandments. We need to be governed by that. That's why the Most High gave it to us. So we wouldn't have to make the choices of any other nation. You follow me? So, let's move on to the second 5, okay? What happens when we don't love a brother? Again, using one example, but the scriptures are filled with it, but just using one example, when we don't love our neighbors. What's the outcome of that? Let's go to 2 Kings chapter 21, 10 through 17.
While you guys are turning to that, my family and I have been checking out this little show on TV. It's called AD. You might have heard of it. It's pretty interesting, man, because it was I think produced by Mark Burnett, but he did an actual pretty decent job in today's day and time because all of our biblical historical TV shows are made primarily whitewashed. Anyway, he actually got some black people in there. So, and it was even one of the apostles was black. Now, they weren't going to give us Christ, but, I digress.
He's brown skin?
He ain't even look Jewish, though. He looked like Cedric. He looked like Cedric. The silky hair, all that. Anyway, point being, it was actually a really good depiction of what you're talking about, how Rome, it takes place in the New Testament era when, Christ hit the scene and everything, right? But it's a really good visual depiction of a lot of the things that happen and take place, because it's literally showing how the Romans, the Israelite kings didn't make any moves at that point without the say-so of the Romans. It really, that literally became their God. So on to the point where they were trying to erect a statue and put it in the temple, defile in the temple, right? The physical temple, but nonetheless, that had high symbolism, to the children of Israel. So it was just an interesting show, and it's still running and going on. But point being, I think it's on Netflix or something. But okay, cool. But it's just really just to sit back and see. It's like, wow. And it's very accurate with a lot of the depictions of what was going on during those times. It was surprising to me, because I hate all them shows because they always off, like Noah and all that. They just wrong.
Right.
But yeah, it just really goes in depth to show. It's like, man, at that point in time, when Christ was on the scene, Israel as a nation, their God was no longer the Most High. It was the Romans.
Same.
And which led into the Catholic Church once Peter died, or was dealt with. Yeah. So that's 100% correct. So that's real talk.
So real quick on that, during the time of Christ, okay, because we were divided amongst ourselves. We had we had the Pharisees and their interpretation of the laws. We had the Sadducees that was so radical. You know what I'm saying? And they were so radical that the only person that they could hang out with essentially would be the Pharisees. But their whole thing was, one of the acts of the Sadducees, they would like to go to hear different people speak, just so they could debate them. Yeah. Well, just to show what they know. So give you an example. You got somebody who may know that they're an Israelite. They want to go check out a Kemetic speech, right? Or somebody doing a lecture on Kemet, right? Or Egyptology. They'll go there just to dispute him. Don't want to convert him.
Don't want to build with him.
Don't want to build with him. Just to expose the flaws in their doctrine and say, yeah, we got him. And walk away. That's the actions of a Sadducee. Okay? You had the philosophers. Those would be like people who are socially conscious. One person that's coming to mind in modern times is the brother D.L. Hughley, right? Who's probably, he'll put out some good speeches on and give some good interviews and real insightful on the social ills of our community, right? But he is burned by the Bible. You understand? So one would have to be real careful with trying to explain, if it ever gets to that point, with trying to explain what the scriptures are saying to a brother like that. Because what's the attorney? Jeff Sessions, right when they were kidnapping the babies at the border, right? He quoted out of Romans 13, servants obey your
master.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He had the audacity. Did he?
Yeah, and he did that on television,
I
right?
know that.
So D.L. Hughley used that as an example, and D.L. Hughley said, "Well, that's the number one scripture that they used in slavery to keep us in bondage." So his views of the Bible, D.L. Hughley, an Israelite, are already
tarnished. Yeah,
are tarnished. Yeah. Now you got again somebody who has no business trying to interpret anything about the Bible, giving a speech talking about servants obey your masters. You understand what I'm saying? You see how that thing has a domino effect? So that's part of part of the first 5 commandments. When we don't love the Most High, that means we don't have no regard for His words. We have no regard for His instruction. We have no regard for anything. But He chose us. We just turned away from it. You understand? So our laws, what govern us, are very important. Now we're getting into the second 5 commandments. That's what did I say? Second Kings
21.
Let's look at some of the consequences of not loving your neighbor.
We're going to start at verse 10. And the Lord spake by his servants, the prophets, saying, because Manasseh, king of Judah, have done these abominations, and have done wickedly above all the Amorites did, which were before him.
So the king of Judah did more wicked things than the Amorites. You understand? The king of Judah, who had the law, who had the prophecies, who had the understanding, did more wicked things than the Gentiles said, man, you really messed up.
Right.
The Gentile looking at us, shaking their head. We were so far off the charts at this time. You understand? So keep going.
The end of verse 11. And have made Judah also to sin with his idols. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power of Israel, behold, I am bringing such an evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab. And I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance, and deliver them into the hand of their enemies. And they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies, because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger, since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much.
What did he do?
Shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sin that he sinned, are they not written in the book of Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
So real quick, before we move on to the next verse, this just came to me, right? Read verse 16 again.
Verse 16. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
Okay, so back in the 90s, this thing called gangster rap really took off, right? Late 80s, early 90s, right? And in gangster rap, they talk a whole bunch of misogynistic lyrics and kill this and kill that and this, that, and this, that, and this, that, right? A lot of those so-called artists weren't really living the lifestyle that they were saying on those albums. Okay. However, they motivated people to do that. Okay. While they were signing those lucrative record deals, you know, I mean, one of the most vile person, I'm going to say his name, I ain't scared, he ain't no gangster. One of the most vile persons that I remember rapping back in the day was the dude named Spice One. Every single album, he killed like 1 million people. So
was he DJ Gusto? CB4.
But I remember listening to it, right? And I remember, I mean, the tracks, the musical tracks, it was so dark, it put you in a mood, right? And I mean, and the weed smoke probably didn't help either.
Right. That mood.
But it put you in a mood to where you actually felt what he was saying.
You felt that
angry.
You felt that spirit, brother?
You got out the car mean mugging people. You know, and it's like, why?
That spirit.
Bring
it out.
So what we just read right here, read 16 again.
16. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord.
So when you don't love your neighbor, which is also your brother,
God.
You know, this is the outcome. You follow me? This is the second set of commandments. The second greatest commandment, the second 5. You follow me? Let's go to Hosea chapter 4, 1 through 6. Still don't have a title to this lesson yet.
That's all right, bro.
But
it might not even need a title. But for YouTube's sake, we're going to need some clickbait. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got you. Something real, man.
There you
Let's
go.
get a con with there. Hosea 4 and 6. I'm sorry, 4 and 1. Let's get a con with there. Okay, I'm giving 1 minute.
Hosea chapter 4, starting at verse 1 through 6.
Also, I want to give a shout out to my little big brother, Kevo in the Truth, in the house of Kevo in the Truth, with the wife and the baby there. What's up, Ak? Shalom, shalom, brother, shalom.
Shalom, kid.
All right, you gonna do a song for us when we done, right? Yeah, kind. Get your MP3 ready. Hosea chapter 4, verse 1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land.
Okay, so wherever we are, that's what Israel is. Y'all know that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so wherever we dwell, that's Israel. We in D.C., Israel. We in Chicago, Israel. Africa somewhere, Israel. Okay, because the land was named after who? Our Father, a person. So wherever our daddy is, there we are also. That makes sense? Okay. Keep going.
Because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land. By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out, and blood toucheth blood. Therefore shall the land mourn, and every one that dwelleth therein shall languish, with the beasts of the field and with the fowls of heaven. Yea, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Yet no man strive, nor reprove another, for thy people are as they that strive with the priest. Therefore shalt thou fall in the day, and the prophet shall fall with thee in the night, and I will destroy thy mother. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Because thou have rejected knowledge, I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing that thou hast forgotten the law of thy power, I will forget thy children.
You see that? Now, that is the scene of just about every inner city in America where we dwell. Okay? It's unfortunate, however, when we don't regard the commandments. Love thy neighbor. Love thy neighbor. That means our brother too. This is the outcome. Follow me? Okay? So, I'll say this right quick. Okay? Now, I'm aware that there's that is some videos on YouTube that's reporting that it's a so-called white man posing as black men that's doing the shooting in the cities such as Chicago. Okay, I've heard that, right? And there may be some plausibility in that. I don't know if y'all heard that or not also, but that could be plausible. It could be true, okay? However, the Holy Scriptures are true also. Matter of fact, it is the truth, okay? What we just read about Manasseh, the king of Judah, he ain't a white man. All right? So, and the thing that have been, and I'm going to quote some scriptures, we need to also remember the thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there's no new thing under the sun, right? So with that being said, if it happened in times past, it's happening now, regardless or not if it's a white man wearing blackface, going around the hood, killing people. All right? And if it is a white man or a group of white men that's doing that, then that's an act of lack of love, right? Mm-hmm. Who was supposed to teach them how to love? Who was supposed to teach them how to love their neighbor? It still falls back on us regardless. Mm-hmm. Because we're the only ones that were given the laws of righteousness. No other nation. So when you look at all the wickedness in the world, right? We got to own that. Okay?
Can you get Proverbs 9 and 10?
You got that?
Proverbs 9 verse 10 is probably a precept for the book of what was read.
One moment, please.
Go ahead.
Regarding wisdom.
Mm-hmm. You got? Mm-hmm. Hold on one second.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. Oh, you said 9 and 10?
No, just 9 verse 10.
Okay.
For that right there, from what we just read on Hosea 6, where it says, my people suffer from lack of knowledge. Understanding the wisdom that we're supposed to have as a nation. You know, so we have that wisdom, but what is the wisdom? And if we jump to Proverbs, then we can understand what wisdom really is.
The fear of the Most High.
But because we choose not to understand what wisdom is, and we forsake the knowledge of the Most High, then this is what happens to us.
Con. Good precept.
Con.
Good precept. Because we have no fear. And that's in the literal sense, too, because God, honestly, I mean, I'm just going to use the name that he's commonly known by. God ain't respected no more.
Right.
Not in our neighborhoods. It used to be the cornerstone of our community. But the church, outside of the Catholic Church, the black church is a mockery now. You know?
Con.
It's, I mean, and I think, in my opinion, what sealed the deal on the black church is the Eddie Long incident that happened in 2010.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
right there was big because those dudes they're gone.
Oh, the brothers in it that it happened to?
Yeah, the ones that gave the money back and broke the story. They're gone. You understand? And he never apologized for it. Matter of fact, he had some Jewish people parade him around on the stage at his church, wrap him in some Torah scrolls talking about he's been restored.
And we're going to now surround him. This is done in the kings of Israel. They surround him, raise it in the air. He now wrap him in the scroll, real slow, real slow, real slow. He's wrapped in the Word of God. He's sealed by the blood of Messiah. He is sealed to come out with a new anointing. The kingship within him, the power within him is going to come out. It doesn't matter where you go. Now how you try to attack him, you can't attack him. He's sealed. Wherever he works, wherever he turns, the power of God is there. As we open this up, every ambassador, every king, this is done to every king. We open up and he's hidden in the Word of God. And I'll walk him around. Come on! Come on, praise God. Turn to face here. Turn to face me.
Let me ask you a question. You saying that the money that the little boys was given, they gave it back?
Yeah. Yes.
You know black folk don't get no money
So
back.
that's how they didn't want the money.
Right, now that's my point.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that's just an example. Again, outside of Atlanta, we got mega churches on every corner in the DMV. You know? And trying to talk to a devout Christian that has a Benz, has a 3,000 square foot home, the kids got Benzes, and Jesus paid it all on the bumper sticker. You try telling them that they're the cursed children.
They living in blessings. They can't see nothing else. Yeah.
In debt, but Jesus paid it all.
Right.
So,
Man.
looking at that, right, the church is a mockery because our kids, our young generation, are wiser now. You know, they can log in online and see what took place at the church in Detroit. Where the pastor asked for a specific amount, $1,000 or $300 and something odd dollars, so he can get this grand total sum based off the size of the congregation.
Wasn't that every member?
Yeah.
He was asking?
Yeah.
At least a minimum of a G, right?
Right. No. He said $1,000, and if you couldn't do that, $300. I can't remember the other amount. It was $300 and some change.
If you can't make the $1,000
If you can't
quota.
do the 1,000.
Oh, okay.
So either way, that caused a riot in the church,
I bet it did.
and I'm not mad at him.
Nah.
You know, because when you look at the scriptures and you see what times that we're living in, we don't really have a lot of time to be dealing with foolishness like that.
Exactly.
But this is what happens when we don't put God's commandments first. What the Bible say? What God say? That should end a lot of debates. It should.
Should.
It should. All right, so where am I?
Police.
Going to an article from 2011, right? This was on WJLA Channel 7's web page, right? See how that what we just read from the time of 2 Kings, how that reflects us today, right? Go ahead.
All right, the article says, police say rival gangs caused a commotion at the Caribbean Carnival Parade that was caught on video and posted on YouTube.
This was back in 2011. Okay, I'm sure I don't know if y'all remember that or not. I think I was up there too.
Which
Or
one
I was at
was
work.
this? Where
I
was
used to
this?
work off of Georgia Avenue.
In Norfolk. Oh, okay, this out our way.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it says, one man was killed and 3 others wounded in a shooting near the festival on Saturday, June the 25th. The gangs brawled on Georgia Avenue in front of Howard University as hundreds watched after Saturday's parade. No one pulled guns or knives during this incident, as they did a few blocks up Georgia Avenue, where a man was killed and 3 others wounded in a gang-related shooting. One merchant said, the violence is threatened the future of the parade. I mean, we used to have Georgia Avenue Day, but we no longer have that because of the violence, said Kent Gilmore.
Okay, now check this out. I stuck in the DMV area because obviously this is where we are, right? I'm gonna go to an article from 20 years prior to that in DC. 20 years prior to this article, which took place in 2011. So this article that we're about to read is from 1991.
Now you making us feel old, Doc. Stop.
All right.
20 years ago.
So let's get that.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Says U.S. Capitol sets murder record. The nation's capital awoke Christmas morning to discover that the city had broken its record of killings for the 4th straight year. Federal statistics last year made Washington the national state homicide capital. 2 fatal shootings on Tuesday brought the 1991 murder count to 485, 2 more than for all of 1990. The year's 484th homicide victim was found at 8:10 p.m. Tuesday. He died at D.C. General Hospital. Another man was fatally shot in the chest about 11:30 p.m. Tuesday. He was also pronounced dead at D.C. General Hospital. More women and teenagers were killed in 1991 than in any previous year, 73 and 48 respectively.
Real quick on that. This is 20 years ago, right? Or 20 plus years ago, right? The children that these women and men may have had are grown now. Look at the state of the 20-something-year-olds now, the millennials. What happened when daddy's gone out the house? It's a lot of effeminization going on with our brothers. Okay? And our sisters are becoming more masculine. Now go figure that out.
Right.
It's backwards. This is what happens. Okay? When we move away from God's commandments. So that's just something that just came to me. It's like, okay, 20-year gap. The kids that they had back then are grown now. And when you look at our kids today, you know, so that's why, you know, on the side note, that's why it's so important, you know, when I see, and it moves me in such a manner, when I see kids here, you know, paying attention to the scriptures, following the scriptures, even though they're being forced by parents, it's going to stick with them.
Some of it ain't forced, though. Some of them
No.
good. Yeah.
What? No,
I got
no.
you.
When I say forced, I mean it's like, okay, mom and daddy go to church.
Right.
You're going to church. And not only that, they're learning something.
They look forward to it. Mine do. Yeah, man. Yeah. Many
So
others do. Yeah.
that's important. Y'all follow me?
God.
Go ahead, finish that.
All right, but for the first time since 1988, when drug-related violence set the homicide rate soaring, there is evidence that crime has begun to level off. You know, I feel like Brian Gumble, right? On his news report now. All right. The 372 homicides in 1988 represented an increase of 147, or 65%, over the 1987 figure.
You can stop right there, man, because we know what happened in DC's history. But what also this opened the doors to is what we call gentrification. This article was when DC was actually still Chocolate City.
It ain't no more.
It's more like a light caramel right now, because the row houses up there by Howard University, we used to own a lot of those, right? But now they came through. A lot of developers bought it up, and now those were big houses. Those would be equivalent to what New York calls the brownstones.
The brownstones, they big, yeah, man.
And people turned those into apartment buildings. That used to be ours. DC was one city that we could say is ours. You understand? Not no more.
Not no more.
Gentrification. When blood is on the street, they bought real estate. Yeah, you're right. So, again, we can't really fault the white man because we violated God's laws.
Okay.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
They played a part, but he didn't give it to them. He gave it to us. Okay? So, one second. Now, this is not saying, hold on, let me move back up right quick. So if, as I said before, so if it's the white man that's doing it, it's because we allowed it to happen, right? If the white man is putting on masks, it's because we allowed that to happen, right? That only proves that what I said before, we didn't teach them the commandment of loving thy neighbor. But overall, we have to be, what? Accountable for our actions. Cool. Con? Okay. We have to be accountable for our actions because one thing that we're so quick to do is blame somebody else. Right. Blame somebody else. And yeah, they may have a part, but at the same time, what about us? You know? A prime example, even though how that movement started, the whole Black Lives Matter thing, I didn't see them in Chicago marching one time. Not once. But when a cop killed one of us, rally and protest. What about us? That's why we take street preach. That's why we're doing all these different things with street preaching, because we recognize that the only thing that's going to save us is the word. And we got to really put some effort behind that and do what needs to be done, because these political movements, these social movements ain't doing nothing. You follow me? So, this is not saying that we won't face adversity from other nations. We will. Okay, we're going to be tested, but that's to prove us. We're going to be tested. All right? And that just comes with being an Israelite. However, whatever's thrown our way, as long as we stay in line with the Most High's commandments, we got it. All right? The commandments. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 through 10. Con, when y'all there.
All right. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 5. And it says, "Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my power commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom."
Read that one more time.
Verse 6.
For this is your wisdom. For this is your wisdom. Go ahead. I just read it.
I'm sorry. Verse 6. "Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes and say, Surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. For what nation is there so great? Who hath the Most High so nigh unto them? As the Lord our power is in all things that we shall call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I said before you this day? Only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligently, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen, unless they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life. But teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. Verse 10. Especially the day that thou stoodest before the Lord thy power in Horeb, when the Lord said unto me, Gather me the people together, and I will make them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me fear me all the days that they shall live upon the earth, that they may teach their children.
Okay. So, the laws, statutes, and commandments are our wisdom and understanding. It's what the other nations use to measure our greatness. Once they see, the other nations see us following the righteous laws and implementing the righteous laws, it will provoke them to say, hey, look at them over there. I think they got it together. However, what we did was looked at them and did a 180. You know, let's go there. Now, I mean, I'm really not trying to always, you know, bring up the bad stuff about us, but I mean, like I said, we got to look at the whole picture, okay? Once we follow his commandments, everything will line up. You follow me? Let's change gears for a moment, right? Let's talk about a hot topic of discussion that's circulating in social media and mainstream media.
Uh-oh.
All right? Let's talk about nationalism. All right? What the Trump administration has done with a decent amount of success is give what's known as white America a sense of hope and pride. Okay, we see that. He's emboldened them to stand tall and proud and to reflect on the days when what's known as white privilege wasn't frowned upon. Y'all see that? I mean, it's everywhere. I got cussed out the other day. But it's cool, you know, because essentially they realize that their position, they're losing power. You understand?
What'd you do, man?
We'll talk. But so it's cool, okay? His campaign slogan was what? MAGA, or Make America Great Again, all right? And I hate to say it, but what that translates to is Make America White Again, all right? And that's the truth. Now, we should be able to relate to the importance of ethnic pride. We can do that. Back in 1968, what? Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud was our anthem, okay? Dashikis, afros, and afro picks made us feel free because we thought we were reaching back to what was our motherland, even though those dashikis and afro picks were made in China. But it gave us a sense of it gave us a sense of pride, right? Okay. When the Black Panther movie was released this past February, right? It had brothers and sisters wearing when Zamunda lion coats, you know, from Coming to America. No, really, it was that serious. You had a brother wearing a trench coat with the lion like King Jaffe Jofer. Like Zamunda is a real place. So go figure that.
Yo,
but
brother. I asked another brother the other day where he was from, and he said Wakanda.
See what I'm saying?
But hold up, then I hit him with, I said, let me see your tattoo. And you pulled something out, and it was like some black drink. He had it literally tatted.
No, it's a picture
I
on.
should have took a picture. No, what? You ain't see the movie.
Oh, sister. The Black Panther, Wakanda. He had Wakanda. That was
they had a little,
that's how they identified
a glowing
themselves.
tattoo. But anyway, the brother literally went and got a tattoo.
Well,
I'm just saying, but regardless, I digress. Go ahead.
No, real talk. I saw the picture on Facebook. Not who he's
People
talking
are
about.
doing it. People, it's a thing.
But it was a brother with Wakanda written on his inner lip.
Wow. This dude had some funny language on there, but it wasn't no Wakanda. But I was just playing. I'm like, dude, let me see your tat. And he literally pulled it out. I said, oh.
So we can understand the impact and effect that ethnic pride can have on people, right? Okay, Donald Trump is stirring up, quote unquote, white America, Wakanda, and the Black Panther, which I thought was an entertaining movie. I'm a Marvel fan, so I mean, I liked it, but from a comic book standpoint, okay. It was so powerful that folks actually think that Wakanda is a real place. And
there you go.
Our people are destroyed for what? Okay, so people actually believe that Wakanda is a real place, okay? So I'm sure that we should be able to understand what Trump has done to energize his people, okay? All right? See, that comes with the wisdom. You know, you can understand where he's coming from, right? Now, a lot of brothers and sisters may take offense to his rhetoric in pushing white nationalism, but should we really? We shouldn't take offense to that. The reason why brothers and sisters are offended because they believe, or our people believe, that we have an equal stake here in America. You know, and that's a huge problem. But the truth is, we didn't, we don't, and we never will. Stop looking for it. Okay, equality. Matter of fact, when you consider what the commandments say, we're above equal. That's the truth.
It's like a psychological mind play, though.
Right.
It's like being with a brother with a small company from Jump, and you was his first employee, and you helped to build that company to a multi-million-dollar company, think you got stake in that, and then when he fired you, you sitting there looking crazy like, brother, I was with you when the, nah. Because even in the Constitution, it says black men were considered to be how much of a man?
Brother, see, I'm glad you mentioned that.
I'm just saying. Matter of fact, there you go right there.
Okay, so with that
That's
being
the spirit,
said,
Doc. That's the spirit.
with that being said, okay, a real quick summarization of the what's called the 3/5 Compromise that was written into the laws of America. That's still written in the laws of America. Okay, taxation without representation was the main reason that the 13 colonies wanted to leave from under the British Crown. Okay, in 1787, after the Revolutionary War, the colonies you're supposed to be reading that, but the colonies had become the state of a new nation. Go ahead, take that.
All right. With representatives. The population of each state determines how many representatives it has. The amount of representatives also determines the amount of political influence the state has. The downside for the larger populated states would be that the more people it has means more taxes it pays. In this case, each slave in slave states was considered to be part of the population as non-tax-paying citizens. This would cause slave states to pay higher taxes, but it would also greatly increase political power for their states because they would have more representatives. This was a price the southern states were willing to pay. The northern states disagreed, so a compromise was made. Each slave would count as 3/5 of a person to decrease the amount of representatives. This was called the 3/5 Compromise.
They lessened us as being, or dehumanized us for the purpose of a tax break. That's and we're marching and protesting, looking for equality in a place that never considered us human. We were property. You understand? A commodity. Every major corporation and company was founded on the slave dollar. The banking system, slave dollar. So we can march and protest all we want. America is not going to change. The scripture says Babylon won't change. Babylon has had opportunity after opportunity to make it right. Didn't happen. You understand? They've gone too far, as the scriptures say, and they will be judged accordingly because of what she has done, not just on us or towards us, but throughout the four corners. All the other countries that she destabilized, but that's another story. Okay, so the United States government made a law that said the slaves were only 3/5 human to prevent the southern states from gaining too much political power. So in the point of view of the established powers that be, our equality means nothing. Okay,
Right.
Here's the truth to consider: we shouldn't be looking for as I said before, for equality in the first place. Okay. I was going to actually add this to the lesson, but I didn't have time to send everything to the brother. But have you all seen the Malcolm X video of Nationalism? It's about 4 minutes long. Speech that he gave.
Was it in the movie?
Nah, it's actual.
One of his speeches.
Yeah, one of his.
Nationalism is the wave of the present and the future. It is nationalism that's bringing freedom to oppressed people all over the world. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Algerians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the Nigerians and to the Ghanaians. It was nationalism that brought freedom to the people of Uganda and Tanganyika and Sudan and Somaliland. The Africans didn't get it by sitting in. They didn't get it by waiting in. They didn't get it by singing "We Shall Overcome." They got it through nationalism. And you and I will get it through nationalism.
What did he talk about in the speech?
Well, he was talking about the importance of nationalism, and I pulled a couple of things out of that. Right, throughout various parts of world history, you will be able to find that the civil uprisings due to the unjust treatment of through colonization. Okay, Malcolm X mentioned in his speech it was through the efforts of nationalism that brought freedom to the Tanzanians. Okay, they fought the French, I believe. The Algerians, they did fight the French, and they also fought the Nigerians. The Nigerians also fought the French to gain their sense of nationalistic pride back. Okay? Now, they went through periods of hundreds of years of colonization, but what did it do to their country overall? They still speaking French.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So, but it was still through a nationalistic effort that their gain was believed by them, their liberty. You understand? So that's what I want to focus on again. We're still talking about nationalism and nationalistic pride, and what should that mean to us? You know? Okay. I would also like to mention, now, this one really stood out to me. Malcolm X didn't really talk about this, but this is some research that I did on my own. I would also like to mention Vietnam, because they defeated the French and the United States. Now, a Vietnam person is a real tiny person. They're not soldiers, they're not soldiers at all. They are small people. They were farmers. What the Western world, what the United States and the UN did, divided it along a certain parallel and invented a North Vietnam and a South Vietnam. They funded the Southern Vietnam because they were going to say, well, you're going to be a democratic state, and the North was like, well, nah, we just want to be farmers. So after World War II, what they wanted to do was declare their independence. They wrote their constitution modeled after the United States. Eisenhower said, nah, they're not ready. So they fought. And they whooped the French and the Americans' tail. Those little men didn't have the tanks, the helicopters, or anything like that. They put their guns on donkeys and climbed mountains to meet the enemy on the other side. So what I'm saying is, what brought that on was the sense of nationalism. They felt it was important enough to die for, just like we should feel about the word of the Most High. You understand? No more compromising. Because again, we're in that stage to where we need to really be focused and be serious. Okay? If you've been in this truth for like maybe 4 or 5 years right now, you're past the Kwame Yashala stage and realizing that because this thing happens, like the sister said, it happens in growths. It happens in spurts. You know, there are levels to it. There are stages to it, right? So, kind of like going back to what I was saying the other week, we need to start exercising more as a body. We need to start thinking nationalistically. I don't even know if it's a word, but it sounds good. But this is how we need to start thinking as a nation. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, the doctrine of Christ, the word of the Most High, and using that, using the commandments to guide us towards righteousness. You understand? This is what we need to start thinking about, because it's already been proven that America don't love us and never had. And now that we're in this truth, we're all we got. And as prophecies are being fulfilled, we see what's happening. You know? Y'all follow me? So, what are we going to do with this? Nationalism, by definition, right?
That is the policy or doctrine of asserting the interests of one's own nation viewed as separate from the interests of other nations, or the common interests of all nations. The devotion and loyalty to one's own country, patriotism.
Y'all see that? That's out the Webster. Embracing nationalism isn't necessarily a bad thing, okay? But again, we've been brainwashed by America thinking that, okay, well, kumbaya, let's all hold hands and all that stuff. Dr. King stopped singing that. You know, he got to a point to where he realized, what? He led his people to a burning house. I don't know if y'all seen that speech of his, that interview of his. He realized that America wasn't going to change. So when he started becoming more militant, as they say, more militant.
Like Malcolm, they started coming together.
Exactly.
But you know what that reminds me of? Black Wall Street.
Yeah.
I don't think Islam was prominent in Black Wall Street, but you know what it was? That Bible was.
Some African American communities are prospering, like the residents of Greenwood, a suburb of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here, former slaves were given land after the Civil War, and this rare footage shows the thriving town they built. A remarkable Baptist pastor named Solomon Sir Jones is the pioneering filmmaker. His footage was lost for more than 50 years. Jones captures the bustling life of Greenwood, which could be any American small town.
And Black Wall Street was one of the greatest
Economic feats that we had as a people.
in captivity as a whole.
Right.
Of us doing stuff separate. You all know the story. We had our own doctors, lawyers, everything, schools, doctors, all that.
And even with that, the history of that time frame is so scattered right now because it's powerful.
They don't want us to remember.
It's like when you hear the stories. I mean, even though Marcus Garvey had, you never really saw a speech of Marcus Garvey giving praise to the Most High. However, what he was able to do, it had to be stopped by one of us, mind you. It had to be stopped because what he was able to do during the time of the Great Depression was to galvanize the people under one goal and say, get out. Even though he didn't trust anybody, and he tried to do all this stuff on his own. He was full of pride, but the idea was so powerful that the feds came in and said, you know what, we got to stop this guy. He bought ships and moving people to Liberia. Thank you. Moving people to Liberia. Liberia was established to bring us back home. And it was working for a minute, and they realized that. Then they corrupted the Liberian government. You understand? Now, that only goes to Scripture. No man shall redeem you. So we understand prophecy.
Right.
However, that shows that we can do it. The time is now because we can't do it using westernized philosophies. We can't. This is our Constitution.
Come on, bring it up.
This is our Bill of Rights.
Come
This is our Declaration of Independence.
Right.
All in one book.
Right.
Okay, so we don't need to set up westernized democracy. We ain't no voting in the kingdom. So all of that stuff that we learn here, throw it out the window. We got laws that we need to stand on.
Well, I got a question. Where's the kingdom?
In us.
Where's it gonna come from?
Us.
And what happened at the Tower of Babel? What did Christ say about the people when they was doing what they was doing? Come on, man. Somebody give me something. Scholars. Hit y'all with an elder good ball. Come on, scholars.
What'd you get?
What did he say? Come on. Help me out. What did he say? What did the Lord say about the people when they were building the tower? What else? Give me another one. Give me another one. That's it. Say it again. Anything. What?
They are one.
Anything that they imagine to do, they can do. The kingdom is in who?
In us.
And it's not going to come by observation. It's going to come through who? Come on, man.
And the commandments, laws, and statutes, that doesn't leave any gray area for compromise.
No.
Between those, there's nowhere that you can compromise because he covers
Everything.
That's it. That's it.
Everything.
Yeah.
I just talked about.
Yeah.
Everything.
Straight like
So it's the time. I mean, this is what we need to gravitate to, right?
Man, if you look at any young person growing up, I'm just stick to our people since we sticking to nationalism. If you look at any young person growing up want to be a basketball player, a football player, you look at your Kobe Bryant, your LeBrons, blah, blah, blah. Their dream is to do what? Become great at their sport. What if we redirected the focus of the youth for their dream to help establish the kingdom?
See, with that
We
being
excel
said,
at everything we do. Go ahead.
With that being said, I mean, because I'm thinking, because I do applaud the efforts of LeBron, right?
Oh, yeah, he doing good stuff.
I do applaud that effort, but that school is going to be geared towards learning what?
Babylonian, yeah,
now,
all that.
But I applaud his effort simply because he's one of the ones who has money and has knowledge and say, you know what, I need to do something for my people. So those efforts do need to be applauded. However, we can do the same thing. Now, we don't need to have a LeBron budget. We just need a desire to serve righteously.
Proof of what you just now said was the most recent nationalistic uprising. That was in 1985 in Philly. And,
the MOVE movement. Yeah.
And they had, the governor called into the government to see like what they could do to stop it. And they got approval to bomb.
Really?
Yeah.
I never heard of that.
Check this out. But it was the mayor. And check this out. It was a black mayor.
Come on,
I'm
man.
dead serious. It's a documentary on YouTube titled the movement, the Philadelphia. Type that into Google and pull that up.
Of May 13th, 1985, Philadelphia police officers arrived at the headquarters of the Black liberation group known as MOVE. According to investigators, police arrived with a warrant for the arrest of several MOVE members. The charge, disorderly conduct. However, MOVE members claim police officers arrived only to eliminate the organization altogether. I spoke with Ramona Africa, one of the two survivors of the 1985 bombing. She says the MOVE headquarters was attacked by the city of Philadelphia.
They decided, they were going to fire rounds. According to them, they fired over 10,000 rounds of bullets in there within the first 90 minutes.
Moments later, seen high in the sky from this NBC video used later as evidence in court, a state police helicopter dropped a bomb on MOVE's headquarters, obliterating their row house and destroying 60 other homes in the inferno that followed. In the end, 11 members were killed, including MOVE's leader, John Africa, 5 other adults, and 5 children under the age of 13. So why was their headquarters targeted?
Because of MOVE's position in defense of life and in opposition to anything that goes against life, meaning anything that poisons, pollutes, maims, kills, enslaves, exploits life on any level. This system wants to exterminate us. They want to get rid of us because they don't have any intention. Those that are running this system have no intention of doing the right thing.
Believe me, the authorities, the government, the system know that MOVE, what the MOVE is about. They know that MOVE is truthful. They know that MOVE is consistent and committed. They know this. So they don't want people to be committed like MOVE. They don't want people to believe like MOVE, because to believe like MOVE is to take away from them. It's to expose them. They don't want that. They don't want people to wake up to what this system is doing to people every day, every minute of the day.
MOVE was targeted for the same reason Martin Luther King was targeted, for the same reason Malcolm X was targeted. We're talking about doing something different than what they have, on their schedule. And they don't want to see different because they want to keep raping the world of the oil and the industry, all of the gold and the diamonds, and they want to keep raping the people and keep people slaves, and they want to keep people messed up. And anybody that wakes up to the consciousness of it, they want to put you back to sleep. And if that means kill you, drop a bomb on you, put your people in prison, to silence you, torture you, harass your family, whatever, they are in it for the long haul. And they are willing to go through whatever is necessary, even sacrifice their own. They will even give you a black president so that they can accomplish their mission. Just like they gave MOVE gave the city of Philadelphia a black mayor to use him to drop the bomb on MOVE. I mean, they will go through any length to do what they're trying to do to accomplish their mission.
While MOVE still believes they were scrutinized and targeted by law enforcement for their political movement, MOVE continues its mission of exposing what they say is a flawed government system. In addition, MOVE is fighting for the release of the MOVE 9 out of the remaining 7. 3 are up for parole in May of 2016. In Washington, Ashley Banks, RT.
I don't agree with what they were doing, but it showed unity.
Right.
Now, it got to the point to where they weren't scared of any laws, and it got to the point to where the police was threatened by them and planning certain things that didn't work in the courts. So the solution was, well, black man, these your people. What you want to do? Well, get a helicopter and drop some C4 down the stack.
Come on, man.
And they blew up a whole city block.
Wow.
So that's kind of getting into when we talked about this last time I taught. When we start proclaiming the truth and started unifying under this truth, they're going to come against us. Everything else, but this is impenetrable. Even if we die, we're going to be all right.
1,000 may fall by our left side, 10,000 may fall by our right, but none shall come nigh thee. We shouldn't even be worried about that.
Nah.
Just do the work.
That's it. And if killing me they only releasing me if they kill me.
And then you become a modern day martyr, which does what? incites
motivate the people.
Motivation. That's all it
You
does.
understand? People still wearing Tupac shirts.
Man,
for some
what?
reason.
What?
You know? So it's like
He was a bad brother, but yeah.
And they looking at his actions, his stance through his music that he was some type of revolutionary. But what I am saying is that with just a small, I guess, similitude of activism, right? You can move the masses. But when you're really doing it for righteous sake, under the Most High's guidance and authority, using Christ as the example, you're listening to the wisdom of the Holy Spirit, who can stop me?
God.
I think that's pretty much, that's what I really wanted to get to. And like I said, it was hard to really put this lesson together because it was just so many avenues of what to do and where to go. We got the commandments, right? And that's a good topic. That's a good title for the lesson, the two greatest commandments. But also nationalistic pride. I don't mean pride in the wicked sense. I'm talking about holding on to our doctrine. Holding on to the death if it comes down to it. Defending our faith. Standing on his promises. His righteousness. We're at that time. Y'all feel me?
God.
I think that's it. I mean, I think that's it. I mean, it's
Becoming segregated again.
yeah.
Oh, you mean holy? Set apart?
Set apart.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
And that was the original title of the lesson. Israel set apart. A nation set apart. But this is where we are. We see what's going on. We see what time it is. Let's make it happen. Y'all feel me? Shalom.
Shalom, shalom.